Rob?
Hello everyone, welcome to Rob's Rogues in the BatmanUniverse.net. Today we're taking a look at something that has a story to it. So I'm going to say right up front, if you stick through till after the credits, there's a story that went into me getting this. I'll say up front, I did not order this after the ordeal of kind of dealing with DC collectibles because of what happened. They had said, just keep this. So I got this for free. They did not send it to me free. What they were thinking that they were sending me was the Batman vs. Superman Hot Toys Batman, which at the time of filming this, they do not have in their warehouse. There's a story that goes along with it. So somebody goes, gee, Rob, this video is 40 minutes long or 30 minutes long. Half of the video is probably, I haven't filmed that portion yet, but it's going to be what transpired of how this came into my possession, why the box looks as bad as it does. You may not be able to tell right from this point of view, but I'll kind of spin it around. I don't want to waste review time talking about what happened. We'll keep this for the review of the figure, basically. I just kind of want to show you the box. Again, if you stay after the credits, I will go more into what is wrong in the story. So, it's the last time I'll say that. You want to watch it, stay after the credits. If you see the credits and you're like, meh, I don't care, just wanted to watch the review, then we'll proceed forward. So this is the Play Arts Kai action figure, number 1, Batman, which this just recently came out. Normally I would say I was real excited to get this, so I'm trying to keep that off. I didn't realize I was going to get this. I thought he looked cool and thought, well, maybe at some point, maybe I might. So I'm glad to have him in my possession now. So it's the first figure from the series, although I think figure 2 would have been Superman. So I'm not entirely sure. I'll have to kind of do some quick research when I come back. Here's the back part of the package. Everything is written in a language that I cannot read for the most part. Some really cool images there. But I thought this looked pretty cool. I love my 3 Play Arts Kai Robins that I have from City, Origins, and Night. So that's pretty cool. We have the inner right here of the package, which is really pretty cool. We'll take a little look here at the side. They kind of have this frosted window here, which kind of reminds me of the Arkham Robins that I have. They kind of had this frosted tint, which initially I thought was, ooh, they made it kind of look like snow. I think this is what Play Arts Kai normally does. They just use like a white type of a paint, but you can see Batfleck in there. So I've had it out a package just kind of looking at him because we thought there was some damage to him initially. So what we'll do, we will get this out of package and we will get a closer look at the Play Arts Kai Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice Batman, standard Batman figure. This is figure number 1 in the series. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Alright, we've got the Play Arts Kai Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice Batman figure out of package, and I do like him. The Play Arts Kai figures are always kind of stylized in some type of a way. They may have some exaggerated, like the cape, for example, is really kind of exaggerated and dynamic. Sometimes the face sculpts can be a little on the anime side, but that's kind of their thing. This one kind of does more of an actual style of look for, at least as far as the head sculpts for what I've seen of Superman and Batman. I don't know if they're doing a Nightmare Batman at all. I know they're doing an armored Batman, if I remember correctly. This was a line initially I was not planning on picking up. And like I said, from what I said at the very beginning of the video, if you stay to beyond the video, you'll hear in I wouldn't say greater length, but in more detail how I came to get this figure. I'm very glad to have him. This is the first Play Arts Batman that I have of any type. The only Play Arts figures that I have are the Robins that have been released, the Origins, City, and Arkham Knight Robins, respectively. So I was kind of going, all right, I'll just get the Robins as they come out, if they make any more. So to wind up getting this one, this is pretty nice. And yes, it is Batman versus Superman, and I was really kind of hoping I could pose him with some of the different Robins. I can with one. If you know anything about Play Arts Kai, their heights change from line to line. Now, inside the line, they pick a height size and say, this is the size we're going to make all these figures. And then the next line of figures, they'll do whatever size that they want to do. So interchanging them with different lines or different figures doesn't always necessarily work. That may not be a bad thing if you're just like, okay, these are my Arkham figures, these are my movie figures, these are, my, Captain America figures, whatever line it is. If you want to keep them all segregated, that's fine. I know some of us complain about scale. I guess that just is depending on how you want to pose them. I do like this one. The more I was looking at him, and initially I thought I was going to have to send him back, and now that I get to keep him, I really do like him. The things that I never really liked about the Play Arts Kai, and I know some people could have different varying opinions, that I know they make the capes very posable. I always liked more of the one-piece cape, that it can do these different moves so you can get it to spread out and be a little bit more dynamic for the posing. That's cool, and I understand it. Me, personally, I think it looks a little off. Like, to have the figure from behind, it's not really appealing to me, seeing the section that we have here that kind of stops abruptly, and then we have this piece which kind of seamlessly fits in here once you start spreading it out. Again, as far as posing from the front, if you're doing it right, you do get a little bit more dynamic into the cape, how things can kind of flow, and it does look cool. I'll say that. But it's just as far as a aesthetic piece, I guess. I guess some parts I would just like to have just the cape be as it is, but if I want to have him jumping, I could have the cape move in different places. So I'm kind of talking out of both sides of my mouth. I like it to do one thing, but not the other. But I'm cool with it at the same time, if that makes any sense at all. I think just the look of it, it looks weird if you're looking at it from behind, but how many times are we going to be posing our figures looking from the back side of it? I guess that's more of my complaint. And then if you get it out too far, which I'll show all those, it doesn't quite look just right. So let's get in close to the face here. I really do like this sculpt that they have for him. Now, they did like a 5 o'clock shadow, and I don't know if it's necessarily the right... trying to find some words here. I like it, but it's done without much other paint. It's just kind of, it's not shaded, it's just the same skin tone, so it looks like they took a needle or something as they were sculpting it and kind of gave all the, divots, if you will, or kind of made it look like his facial hair is 5 o'clock shadow. You can see how he looks kind of pitty right there. Not horrible, but at the same time, it's kind of like he has really bad acne, especially like right there. So I understand what they were trying to do. And up close, it kind of looks a little on the bad side, but on your shelf, you kind of get the perspective that, hey, it's not so bad because we're not up, on extreme close-up on our figure, but you still want it to look good. The better it looks close up, I will say it'll look better far away too. Now, I think this eye right here looks like it's looking... Actually, they're both looking up, which I'm okay with that. If you've got Superman and you want to pose Batman so he looks like he's looking up in the air towards Batman, that's cool. But looking, if you have the head tilted down, it looks like now he's piercing up at you, which would be a cool spot to have, but straight on, it looks a little odd. Like, what's up there? Why can't you look at me? Look at me right here. Look at me. There you are. So, not too bad. As far as the extra or the other sculpting on the suit, I think they nailed it really pretty good. The distress marks on the bat symbol. I remember when we first saw the images of Ben Affleck's bat costume. I think the belt looks really, really... I love this belt. I love the whole entire suit in the film. The blades, the fins here, are not painted, I about said silver, gold, in which they should be. So maybe that was a misstep on them, because they got the gold knuckles there, and they have the gold toe caps on the boot, so it might have just been an oversight. But the rest of the suit looks really, really good. But what I was saying about the costume, that some people were like, oh man, it looks like it's duct tape, because we saw that black and white photo. I think the cape is shaded really good. I love that they added the dirt and the grime to the back part of the cape. I thought that was so cool, because you would think that Batman's cape would be dragging the ground in the clean streets of Gotham City. Yeah, right. And there's some extra shading up here, some other dirt and grime and just wear and tear in the suit. So Play Arts Kai did a really good job on this figure. And, you know, now having him in hand, I might have talked myself into picking this up just because I don't have a Play Arts Batman, but I'm glad to have him now. So since I'm moving the figure around, let's take a look at his articulation. The head is on a really good ball joint, can look down really well, and the neck also is on a pivot as well, so you can get some different looks from the figure here, which is really nice. It doesn't look like, I was talking about the eyes looking up. You can't get him because of the back of the collar on the cape, or the high part of the cape. He can't look up, so they have his eyes looking up, but he can't look up unless the eyes are looking up. So when you tilt the head down, you get that menacing, you know, stare from Batman, but still cool nonetheless. And from my shelf, it's going to be really kind of hard to see. You can see the whites of the eye, but the pupils kind of get lost in all of the black, so it's not that big a deal. It's not like I'm going to be sitting on my shelf, watching him on my shelf going, he's looking up in the air again. The arms go up, are kind of hindered by the top part of the cape. This arm doesn't want to stay up much at all. He's got, as Chapman Films would say, loose arm syndrome here. So I can get it up to 90 right there, but the neck, it's like the neck and the shoulders are kind of together, like trying to move the head up there will force the arms back down. So it's a little bit there, and you can kind of see inside of the figure. So this is something I've said in over-articulating figures, which is really good to get him in poses. You start seeing the inner workings of the figure. Like, I don't want to see the ball joint on the figure. I don't want to see the inner, like, butterfly joint in there, because it starts to take away from the suspension of disbelief that this is a real person, if you follow me for a second. Because then you start seeing the inner workings. That's like the Santa Claus at the mall, and his his beard is on crooked, and you're like, I can kind of see the other side of your face. You can see how it's separating right in here a little bit. So it's like these pieces didn't get put together quite right. So it's not horrible, and you're getting him in a pose. You know, I'm not going to be able to see, as I have him off camera there. You know, I'm not going to be able to see that inner working right there, but in the right pose, yeah, you are going to see that. So a little bit of limited here, but there is a rotation in the arm, which doesn't really get in the way. They're kind of independent of each other. So there the arm comes off, which that is problematic for some of the Play Arts. It does pop right back on. I love it when this happens on film. So there we go, back on. So has a bicep swivel, and the ratchet double hinged elbow, rotation on the elbow, the ratchet swivel hinge on the wrist, has the upper diaphragm swivel, ab crunch, can kind of arch back, but again, you start getting past that point, you start being able to see the inner workings of it, so just be careful. But he can get down pretty good in an ab crunch and get his head down so he can look like, hey, I've got a bat on my chest. So, as the ratchet legs there, which go about that far, it's not, can't get directly into the splits because it starts hitting this upper region here of the upper thigh. Has the thigh swivel, legs go forward, not very much at all. They go back and kind of out more than anything. Apologize about that. So you can get a little better look. Move the camera around. Double hinge knee, which is really good. But again, I understand. Sometimes I just like things to be a little bit hidden, but that's not horrible. Knowing what type of figure it is and knowing that's how they make these, I'm okay with it. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, just more aesthetic. It's got the ratchet foot, and it's got the toe. I like the toes here, so you can kind of get them bent a little bit more. So the articulation is really pretty good, and I feel it's about what I have on my Robin from Arkham Knight. And while I'm thinking about it, there is articulation in the cape. So the cape kind of will ratchet back a little bit, and then these pieces will move out. But this is what I was talking about. After you start moving things around, like in a pose like this, where he's standing and you have the cape kind of spread out as far as it can go, other than seeing, sorry about pointing between your legs here, Ben, but you can kind of see the separation in the cape, like that's not quite natural. Actually, that was just the, yeah, that's the fold in the cape. But there, that's what I thought I was seeing when I turned him around. But you can kind of start seeing the separation in the back now, depending on how you're posing it. Now, if I had him this way, yes, you can clearly see how that separation is, but just a little twist. So I like that I can do that, and this cape is really kind of billowed out there as he's kind of looking down at the ground for no reason. So that's cool that I can do that. I can make the cape seem bigger than it is, but you've just got to be able to hide those spots that are coming out. So again, I like that I can do that, but at the same time, now I'm having to hide things in the way that I'm posing him, and just to the left or right, you know, you can see some of that. So again, somebody can go, well, I like to be able to pose my cape like that. That's cool. That's great. I'm glad I have that option to be able to do so. So I can get it out about as far as I can before it starts separating. And the nice thing, since Batman has this pleated cape and has the scallops on the end of it, I don't mind so much that it starts separating a little bit, because there is a natural separation the way they have it designed there. So I can kind of leave it like that, and I might just leave it like that, that it is billowed out a little bit more than it was when it came in the box. It takes up a little bit more space to make him look a little bit more dynamic, and I think that looks pretty cool. But at the same time, I'm not getting the separation that's going to bother me. Maybe it's not going to bother you as much, but that's just something to think about. And he's actually standing pretty well, considering I had that toe up. And that is something I want to talk about now that I'm moving him. I'm not going to get him to stand. The Play Arts Kai figures, for me, I feel are always so hard to stand up on their own. I know they come with a base and a stand, which I'm not getting out of the package. For 3 figures now that I've reviewed, all the 3 Robins that I mentioned, those stands are horrible. They are so flimsy. The figures have been falling over anyway. So a lot of my Play Arts figures kind of lean up against a back wall, or I've got to stand them just right so they're not falling over. But this has been the first time in this review that I've had the camera on that he's been standing on his own without flopping over. I bet it took me a good 5 to 10 minutes to just get him in the right stance for his leg so he would stand up during this review. So kudos to me for finding a pose that he can stand in, which sucks being an action figure collector that your figures won't stand. You got to get them to lean, or you got to spread the legs far apart, or twist ankles in ways that maybe you don't want to do. So that's always a big gripe of mine. I want to take my figures out of a box. I don't care what size they are. I want to set them down and they stand. So at least this one for right now can stand. Most of my Robins, I've really got to do some work to try and get them to stand. So, enough of that. Let's get into the other accessories that Batman comes with. He comes with a couple sets of hands, 2 other sets. He's got 2 open hands, which is generally pretty standard for a lot of the Play Arts figures. He's got 2 closed fists right now, and generally what I do, I take the closed fists off, so that way all my other figures can hold on to something. So there's the open hands, and then we have the hands for the grapnel gun or the batarangs. So I think the grapnel gun will actually fit more in this hand. Yeah, that's what so this hand was for the grapnel gun, which I think I'm definitely going to place in with this hand. So there's the grapnel gun. Very cool. So this hand is probably just going to be more of a relaxed or a pointing hand. And then we have a hand here for holding the batarang, which that looks really pretty cool too. So hopefully I had that on camera. So they got the hand sculpting down really well, and I like the bright metallic looking silver of the batarang. He also comes with, this is what the other thing was, it was the canister for the grenade. Actually, the grenade itself. And I kept thinking that he came with the grenade launcher, and I don't believe that he did. So there's that one. And then the hook for the grapnel. So you could put that right in there. So this is the hand that it's going to go with. And I like the detail on the grapnel blaster. So the hands just twist off. That looks pretty cool. Very nice. So again, like you can tell, there's a little bit of a gap in there. That bothers me. There could have been probably some way to get it, but trying to get your figures to pose different ways there, they have to make some cuts somewhere so they can do that. Even just kind of having the grapnel gun just resting in his hand would be pretty cool. Now watch, I was just saying I got him in a really good pose and I moved him. Now he's not gonna wanna stand. This is where I'm going to turn off the camera. Alright, it is size comparison time. I've only got 3 other figures to do a size comparison with, so if you were somebody like, hey, I have those 3 other Robins, Rob, which ones would you pose them with? I was thinking, boy, it'd be great to interchange all of them. Not so much. So I will do them in the order of probably best size to he's a little tall to oh my god, Robin is huge. So let's take a look at the first one. Here's the Batman Arkham City Robin figure. This is the closest one. If I wanted to put one of them side by side on my shelf, these two I think would work rather well together. Robin is a little bit towards the back, so if I kind of get him like this, you can kind of see a little bit more. I have to kind of hold Robin. So Robin is just about right. Maybe Robin could be a tad bit smaller if this was the same universe. I know it's not, but on your shelf, if you wanted to have a Batman and a Robin standing together, these two would work fairly well. And that may be something I just might do just for displaying some of my figures and just changing things up from time to time. I've got Batman leaning just a little bit on his leg here to kind of displace his weight a little bit so he'll stand. But he's not drooped down that much. I've got his head up as high as he'll go. That's not going to make much of a difference once I start bringing the other two Robins up. So the next one we'll bring up is the Batman Arkham Knight Robin. All right, as you can see here, from city to night, we jumped quite a bit in size. Tim Drake grew over the span of a game. So this one really doesn't work so well with the Batman versus Superman figure. You can really kind of see here that Robin is much bigger. And believe it or not, there is still one Robin that's even taller yet. So let's bring up the next Robin. This is the Batman Arkham Origins Robin. Holy crap, Batman. So there's no way the Arkham Origins Robin is going to fit in at all. Kind of disappointing. Like I said, Play Arts will adjust their sizes to whatever whim they decide to. So it's not like they said all of the Robins are going to be this tall, no matter what version of Robin it is. And all of our Batmans will be this tall. It's, here's the line that we're doing. All of our figures in this line will be this size. I never got the Arkham Origins Batman. Like I said, this is the only Batman that I have. So I don't know if the Origins Batman is taller than this Robin, or if every single figure from the Origins line is this height, and every single figure from the Arkham Knight is this height. So, I mean, if you watch this review, I brought all three of the other ones, the other two up, that all of them are different size. And I love the size of this Robin figure, but I remember thinking the Arkham City Robin was such a big figure that now he seems rather small. So let's take a final look at the Play Arts BvS Batman. Final thoughts with this figure. I'm glad to have him. I think it's going to be a nice addition to my Play Arts Kai collection. I'll just kind of have him stand close to some of the other Robins, and you know, going through Batman versus Superman. Again, like I've said before, that I really enjoyed the film. I know it wasn't for everybody, but I enjoyed it. And just the different figures that I've been picking up, I like each one of them for different reasons, and I think it's going to be nice that one of the last figures I'm probably going to be getting from Batman vs. Superman is going to be the Hot Toys figure. And I think that's probably the right way for that to happen, that the best figure that's going to come out is the Hot Toys figure. But this was a pleasant surprise. Pleasant surprise, using that term loosely, due to kind of what was going on surrounding me getting this guy, by thinking that I was getting the Hot Toys figure. Again, I'm going to save that for the tail end of the review. If you make it through that long, I thank you. So today we've been taking a look at figure number 1 from Play Arts Kai's Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice figure. This is Batman. And as always, this is Rob for Rob's Rogues and the BatmanUniverse.net signing off, saying we will see you guys next time. All right, pardon the review table here. As you can see, the stuff that I've been reviewing that's up here. This is the outside of the box. This is before I actually filmed the review that you just watched. This is what the outside of the box looked like that was sent. I saw it in a picture, and I'll try and put up the picture here of the perspective that I saw it from. This got sent to my wife's office. So the box is really kind of beat up here. It's kind of crushed in, looks like it's just smashed in on one side here. So this had me really nervous, and to be quite honest, really kind of scared. You can kind of see it was up here, smashed in at the top, trying to keep the address there. But, you know, and then looking inside of it, again, this is before I'm actually reviewing it for you guys. You can kind of see the box that's in here. I've only had this out once. To look at it. My wife looked at it. So just this bubble wrap right here. So you have all of this space for this to flop around. So getting this out, bear with me here. Move that out to the side. So taking a look at the package here, you could see that it's kind of crushed in here. It's torn here. It's separated there. The back. So if I was wanting this mint in box, it is not that way at all. So it's really kind of hard to tell from the package perspective. You can kind of see, try to give you the profile shot, how you can see where it's dented in. So the box is really kind of glossy. So from the front, it doesn't look as bad, but to the naked eye, it's pretty bad. So you can kind of see here. See there, you can really kind of see how it dips down and is not level. So I'm staying level pretty much right there. So the box is in bad shape. Now the inside of the package, everything appears to be just fine. So I wanted to kind of show you the box. I'll go into the story. So if you made it this far through the video, what's going to happen next, I'm actually going to set up the camera correctly for the normal perspective that you would watch the review, so I can get this guy out. And then after this cuts out, I'll go into the ordeal, and it'll probably just be me on camera talking. So I'll be back in just a second. All right. So we made it this far through the video. If you're watching this far, thank you very much. If you're somebody's like, Rob, this video didn't need to be that long, well, then you can just boop, click stop right here. The story of me just getting this just goes like this. As I started seeing people, and partly this is kind of sort of my fault, about this much. I had a little bit of ants in the pants waiting for the Hot Toys Batman vs. Superman. I started seeing people review them, and even though I knew those people paid quite a bit of money to get it from Hong Kong so they can get it early to review it, I just started thinking, wow, this has got to be coming out soon. And I went back. I originally pre-ordered my Batman on New Year's Eve of 2016, the beginning of this year. So almost 6 months ago have gone by, and you start seeing reviews for the Hot Toys Batman figure online. Now, granted, I know that people were paying a lot more for them so they could get them early. So all I did, as I'm punching the camera, all I did was call DC Collectibles, where I placed my order from, and I was just checking on the status of my order. Like, have they received any in? Do they have any information of expected arrival time? That's all that phone call was. So what happened, the gentleman that takes my phone call says, wow, you've had this. Well, first thing he says is, oh, I'm sorry, we're sold out. And I said, I know that you're sold out for the general public, but this was a pre-order back in January. I've got my pre-order, I've got my confirmation, and all that stuff. So he looked at my order, which always kind of sucks because they ask you, you know, for your order number and all that stuff, all your information to look up the order, and then you don't pay attention to the screen, but whatever. So he says, oh yes, I see that you ordered this in January of this year. And he said, wow, that's over 5 months ago. And I said, yeah, I understand that. I was just wondering, have you received any in, or do you have an estimated ship date or something to that nature? And he said, well, sir, we'll get on top of this right away. I'm going to escalate your order and we'll get the process through. And I was like, well, hold on. I said, if you don't have any in-house yet, it's going to be really hard to escalate an order if you don't have anything. It's not like I ordered this January 1 and somebody forgot about me and didn't ship me my order. I said, I just want to know, have you even received the first shipment of these at all? And he said, sir, I really don't know, but I'm going to escalate the order. I said, you just have to answer that first question. Did you receive any ever? He says, well, I'll get back to you. He said, I'll call you tomorrow to verify. The next day goes around. Of course, they don't call, so I call back. He says, yeah, I haven't heard anything from our warehouse, so I went ahead and escalated your order. And I was like, but you might not have received any yet. He says, well, as soon as they arrive in the warehouse, they're going to see that this order's been escalated, so you'll be one of the first ones that get picked. So I was like, well, great, cool, awesome. Exactly 4 days later, I see that I have a ship, because I would go back through and I would just check DC Collectibles just to see if there's an update. Now, granted, I should receive an email telling me that my order is shipped. We did not. I just happened to check DC Collectibles website, saw that the Hot Toys was shipping. I was like, wow, they're processing the order. And then like 4 or 5 hours later, it had a ship time and had a tracking number. So I'm tracking this package. It's coming across, the United States, arrives to my wife's office, and you saw just a few minutes ago the condition of the box. And I'm like, wow, that box is really beat up. And she says there's something rattling inside of it. And I'm like, oh man, it's crushed, it's dinged. I can't believe I spent all this money on a Hot Toys and this is the condition. Now I'm mad, now I'm upset. And I can't see this figure, I can't touch it, I can't hold it until I get off of work at 5 o'clock, and this is like 10 o'clock in the morning. So I'm like, all right, just open it up, just rather than just stew about it, I just want to see the condition of this box. So like you saw the outer side of what she did was at first, she opened the box and had the flap opened of this figure. And I saw the frosted window and I'm like, okay, it looks good. She says, oh, it looks like it's just a screw that was rattling around inside of the base. And I was like, oh, okay, that's no problem. Close my phone, and I was like, wait a minute. I shouldn't be able to see, you shouldn't be able to see the screw. That should be packed in there very well because all she had was the flap open. And I know that all that stuff is down below after watching some Hot Toys reviews, that all that stuff is down below. So I opened it again. I said, show me the front of the box. Because in the picture, I could definitely tell it's Batman, but I'm like, man, it looks different than what I've seen on reviews. And then that's when I saw it was the Play Arts Kai figure. So I go through, call DC Collectibles back, tell them they sent the wrong thing, and the guy says, we haven't even received any of the Hot Toys yet. And I said, I know, you sent this thing. And I said, my order's been closed, our credit card has been charged, I paid for the Hot Toys, didn't get the Hot Toys, I understand you don't have it yet, but now my order is closed. If my order is closed, how am I going to receive the Hot Toys figure? So they had to reopen the order, make it a live order again, and I said, now keep in mind, I pre-ordered this back in January 1. If you reopen it with today's date, I'm going to be the last person on the end to receive it when I'm probably in the top tier of people that had. So they had to backdate the whole entire thing and autocorrect the date so the date reads the exact. I made them go through the exact day, exact time, so when they're going through and pulling them off, they're fulfilling the orders in the order in which the orders came in, if that makes sense. On top of that, I was to send this guy back. And I was like, all right, fine. So just so you know, the box has been slightly crushed on one side. There's a tear going through the box. We had to open the box because my wife didn't know the difference between a Hot Toy and a Play Art. She just knew, hey, you're getting a big Batman figure. Here's what it is. And she wanted to look to see if it was broken or damaged because of the way you guys had shipped this thing out to begin with. So they said they were going to call me back with confirmation that my order was opened. They did not call back the next day. I had to call them back at work, and they said, for everything that you guys have had to go through, keep the Play Arts Kai figure. That is on us at DC Collectibles for causing the whole mix-up to begin with. So, at least now, tentatively, I know that I'm getting the Hot Toys Batman. They have an estimated shipping date, or a shipping date of the 15th of September. At the time I'm filming this, this is the 2nd of September. So, needless to say, it's going to be about 13 days that right around the 15th or 16th, I'll probably be calling and checking our status to see if that's coming in. They guaranteed that I would be getting the Hot Toys. So here I am reviewing this Play Arts Kai figure. At the whole entire time I'm reviewing this going, I better get the Hot Toys. And part of it was because I called and had ants in the pants and just simply wondering when they were going to be shipping it, or if they had any idea of when they were going to be receiving product. Because you would think it's just like me ordering. Once I place an order and DC Collectibles sends me an order, I can track that. So DC Collectibles had to put an order into Hot Toys, and then once it gets shipped, they have confirmation that it's coming towards them. So that's where I was like, I don't understand how you can't tell when the product you ordered isn't coming in. But apparently they can't, or the person I was talking to on the phone can't. So that's the story of how I got this guy added to my collection for free. So thank you, DC Collectibles, for not making me send it back. And we were also afraid by me sending it back and it being opened and the box being mangled. We took pictures and we were sending pictures back and forth so they could see the condition of the outside of the box. And I said, we haven't taken the figure out of the box yet, but we don't know what's going to go on. So I'm really hoping the Hot Toys figure is packed so much better than what this guy was. This was a complete, absolute horrid packing job from DC Collectibles. That's the first time I've ever said that, and I've ordered enough stuff from DC Collectibles that everything has been packed really well. So I don't know if it's just because there was an escalation, they were trying to get this picked, they threw in that crappy bubble wrap, and that's what ended up happening. So at least the figure is fine. So I know this was a long video, but like I said, if you watched all the way through to this point, and you're going to complain about the length of the video, you watched this far. Or if you like to hear just a funny story of what happens. So sometimes it's better to just sit and wait. I probably should have sat and waited, and I wouldn't be sitting with this feeling of like, they're going to ship it, right? They're going to ship it, right? So thanks for watching, and now hopefully we'll get back to less stressful reviews. Thanks, guys. Bye.